So Paul, we had some great training yesterday. I had a lot of fun with you. This is like your fourth time, I guess, training with me here in Santa Monica.
Yeah, great time. Always thanks for having me out. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Share with me a little bit of your calligraphy or artwork.
Sure.
What got you started on this path of Japanese artwork or calligraphy?
Well, obviously, you know, watching Hatsumi Sensei all the time, that's what really inspired me.
Yeah.
And in fact, many people don't know this, but maybe you know, 10, 15 years ago, he actually had a calligraphy class.
Really?
An ink painting class, yeah.
I did not know
it
that.
didn't go over very well. There were a few of us that went. He only did it for about 2 months, and then because not many of us went, yeah, he took it off his schedule. But that was about once a week, and he taught us how to paint the Dharma and and some dragons, and so yeah, he was very interested in us learning about it as well. So I've always had an interest in art, and then when Hatsumi Sensei wanted to teach us, that piqued my interest even more, and just watching him in his artwork and what he's trying to convey in his artwork really inspired me to pick up the brush and try to express the inexpressible through a brush as well. The moment I started with the calligraphy and the ink, there's just something about it that draws you in. The shades of black and white, and I enjoy it more than color. I mean, I've never used color, but I just enjoy the subtlety of it, and also the use of space in ink painting, Eastern type of painting. Some of it, they use the white space as much as the ink itself, and we call it yohaku, which is this idea of well, abundance of white space, or using the white space as much as you're using the ink as well. My ink painting teacher, who is about 87 right now, he talks a lot about this, and it relates it to the painting as well as to life as well, to have this kind of space available in your life as well as in your paintings. For me, it kind of adds a certain elegance and breeze into the artwork.
Yeah. So this might be a silly question, but have you shared your art with Sensei?
Oh yeah, I mean, since the beginning.
Oh, you shared it with him?
I've shown it to him. Yeah.
What does he say?
Oh, he says, "Oh, very good, very good. Oh, you're a genius," and that's about it. You know.
A genius.
He's like, "You're a genius."
Yeah.
You know. So you have to take what Sensei says with a grain of salt.
Right.
But no, I do share it with him quite often, and you know, he's funny, and he always compliments me.
Yeah, well, I'll compliment you too, because yesterday you shared some of your new art with me and with the group, and it's looking a lot more refined than I remember your stuff being before, and there's a great feeling behind it from my own artistic perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My ink painting teacher would tell me a lot. When I would try to draw bamboo, he'd say, "Don't draw the bamboo, you know, draw the essence of the bamboo." And and he's 86 or 7, and he'd be screaming at me like this. And well, they say start with the four basics of ink painting is bamboo and orchids and things like that. And I like bamboo a lot, so maybe I'll do some bamboo, or maybe just some characters. We'll just have to see what happens.
Okay. Fine by me. All right, let's go.
All right. The first thing you have to do before you draw your characters or draw your picture is to get your ink. And we use an inkstone here, or suzuri, what we call it in Japanese, and some ink here. Well, it's not ink yet, but we're going to make it ink here, an ink stick, and we have to grind it up like this on the inkstone. People don't realize this, and I didn't realize it a lot as well, but the type of ink, the type of paper, makes a huge difference on the type of feeling of the picture. some papers are like softer and they absorb ink, and what they say nijimu, so it spreads out into the paper. Some ink is very thick, like some of these practice inks, and they don't absorb into the paper, so they kind of lay on top of the paper, and you get all these different variations of color, gradations of black and white, depending upon what kind of ink you're using and what kind of paper. This happens to be an old ink, and believe it or not, this little stick here cost me about $200. And this smells really good. If you can want to smell that or so when you're grinding it up. They say this is really, it's almost like a meditation, and they say the smell here can like allow your body to release these hormones that are good for happiness. so you kind of get these happy hormones when you're doing your ink painting. So I think we have some pretty decent ink here now. We can go ahead and write something. Alright, so we made the ink. Now the next thing you gotta have is brushes. And you might be able to see here we got quite a few brushes here. Brushes come in many different sizes and shapes. Some are stiff, some are soft, and brushes don't really matter actually. I've heard people using twigs, wooden chopsticks, anything. It just lends a different texture to the kind of art you're doing, or sometimes it's just fun to use a really soft brush, or a really stiff brush, or even bamboo brushes. Some brushes can go for thousands of dollars and some are cheap. If you get about a $35 brush, then you're doing pretty good. Even less expensive. You know, you don't have to have a good brush. There's actually the story. You know, there was a famous calligrapher in Japan. We pronounce his name Kobo, and it says Kobo fudeo erabazu, which means that Kobo doesn't fuss about his brushes, doesn't pick a brush. He uses whatever he has. There's a really funny story. He was writing a sign once, and it was going up on an archway. And so he wrote the sign, and it went up on the archway, and someone said, "Oh, you forgot the little ten-ten, or the little like dot at the end of one of the characters." So he reaches into his bucket of ink, and from the ground he just throws it up there, and boom, it hits perfectly on the sign. So that was Kobo. I'm not sure how you pronounce it in Chinese, but we say Kobo. Kobo fudeo arabazu. So you don't really have to worry about your brushes too much. Just have a good time. That's the most important thing, just like what Hatsumi Sensei talks about in our art. So what would you like me to draw first? I'm not really thinking when I'm drawing anymore. I try not to think much. I guess what you're looking for is the balance between the paper and the character. I also like my characters to feel like they have a life of their own, like they've like been born on the paper. And you know when that happens, you really can't. There's no way to know before the finished picture if it's got that oomph, if it's got that life, you know. And so this one is fine. The balance is a little off, and too much water on the brush right now. I like to have a little more what they say kasurita kanji, which is like scratches in the ink. So we'll try another one and we'll see what happens. I'm not going to put any more ink on the brush. Maybe draw a little bit. This ink is very watery, so it's very difficult to get that kind of scratchy feeling, but you're starting to see it, right? See how the brush, how it breaks up like this, depending upon how you use it. There's many different ways to what they call kaishi, how to switch directions with your brush. So this is kamiwaza, which is one of our gokui, which means sort of divine technique. This is one of my favorite things to write as of the last month or so. So if we have the chance and the pleasure to meet in these next couple months, maybe I'll draw this for you. You know, what I found when you're painting is kind of like what Hatsumi Sensei talks about. It's so important just to have a playful heart and to not be good. Don't worry about what's good and what's bad. So don't quite judge it right away. And not really try to, everything in nature is sort of not perfect, Everyone tries to draw things perfect and be too good. And it's kind of like when you're doing your martial arts. You don't want to be too good. You want to leave some kind of room for error or playfulness. Or, nature, when you look at it, is not all straight lines, and we try to do that, and our mind tries to do that. So just to have fun and see what is born out of that. And you'll find that not being good, but trying to find the essence of something is what will help you to really find something that works for you.